Welcome back to PoorConsult's YouTube channel. In this video, we'll talk about main events happening in crypto space. I will take you through all the major headlines that you need to be informed about before making any of your trading or investment decisions. We'll make it easier for you and we'll keep you in the loop, keep you up to date with the major events happening in our industry recently nowadays. All right, so if you are interested about it, then please keep on watching this video. I'll try to tell you about every major event that has happened in the crypto space in the last 2-3 days. All right, with that said out of the way, without losing much more time, let's jump right into it. So first of all, let's take a look at Bitcoin's price today. Here we have Bitcoin USDT chart, the daily chart, and we can see that Bitcoin is currently trading a little bit above $20,000. And obviously, if you haven't been sleeping in the previous week, you saw that Bitcoin's price dipped below $20,000, reached $17,700. First time in history. It's a major event because throughout the entire Bitcoin's history, the price has never dipped below the previous market cycle's top. All right, so this was, and the previous market cycle top was 20k. So now we dipped, and then of course we had another candle which took us back above $20,000, and lots of people are calling it a bottom, but me personally, I wouldn't be sure about it. In contrary, I think that we might still see some more pain before the next bull market kicks in, and I'll give you my reasoning shortly. But for now, just take a look at the one thing that I want to share with you, which is, even though you see today we have another green daily candle, and it seems like we are having a build up in here, which might go up or down after this accumulation phase, this short accumulation phase ends. But the significant difference of today's price and today's dip and the last major dip that we experienced in spring of 2020, which was due to this coronavirus burst out, that event, we can see that, let's compare. If we compare and see in the graph, we can see that back then in 2020, in March of 2020, Bitcoin's price right in here, it dipped 29% below the moving average, this 200-day moving average, the yellow line. We dipped right below it, and then right after it we had this rebound of 57%. We can see this candle, this huge buying pressure that imminently followed this sell-off and took the price back. However, if we look at the graph now today, we can see that the BTC price dipped 22% below the moving average, but it only bounced 11%. Very low volume so far. You can see that the selling volume on this weekly chart is still huge, and on our chart we can see this is a daily chart again, but we see that the buying pressure is not big. We can put it that way, meaning that there is not much money coming in, not institutional money, most importantly, that will gonna push the price up, and which is this is not a surprise, at least not for me, because in these stagflationary economic conditions that we are now, it's really difficult to expect some institutional money, some big smart money, to jump in and buy even at these low levels. If we take a look at what's happening in the market, we see that Bitcoin's price rises to 20.7k as Fed Powell says more rate hikes appropriate. Guys, take a look at it. Jerome Powell says more rate hikes is appropriate. In a direct quote, he says, "We anticipate that ongoing rate increases will be appropriate. The pace of those changes will continue to depend on the incoming data and evolving outlook for the economy. All right, we'll make our decisions meeting by meeting, and we will continue to communicate our thinking as clearly as possible." So the more interest rate hikes are appropriate and are expected, because the inflation is is all around. It's very high. Actually, recently we haven't seen these levels of inflation in the past 40 years in the United States. So even higher inflation prevails in Great Britain. So with this economic situation that currently we are in, it's really difficult to expect someone to jump, right, the smart money to jump into the markets and buy this Bitcoin deep. Let's go on and see what's happening more on top of it. So Bitcoin miners, another negative news, which is also expected, sold their entire May harvest. All right, so take a look at it. Bitcoin miners are finding it extremely hard to continue their operation as the cost of production has exceeded the profit. You see how much they have spent on their machinery or those miners, and now the production cost is higher than the profit. So new data shows the public Bitcoin mining firm sold 100% of their Bitcoin production in May. We are not talking yet about June. This happened in May, which was 20 and 40% earlier. The Bitcoin miners were selling of their profit. Now 100% they sold in May. Here on this graph, you can see that the miners in May, they just sold 100% of their income. If we take a look at PoorConsult's, if we go to PoorConsult's LinkedIn page, we can see that we have posted today a chart in here, that Bitcoin miner to exchange flow, and we see that some mining pool participants from pooling just sent 5k Bitcoin, which is $110 million approximately, to Binance. So in here you see that this might indicate some miners' revenue can't meet the break-even point, so they have to cash out to cover the expenses. All right, so while facing those high energy bills and the inflation that they face nowadays, so probably as this chart suggests us, the miners are selling more, up to 100% of their Bitcoin profits, so as just to cover their expenses. But of course, this miner that's sent to Binance, I mean, we never know the purpose of it, all right? So we can't just conclude right from this chart that they are selling. Or they sent to exchange, it could be used to open long positions using Bitcoin as collateral, all right? It's also possible. However, all else equal, I mean, this is not a good sign, all right? This is not a good sign to see that the miners are selling their Bitcoin. All right, with that out of the way, let's go to some positive news. And this one is coming from, where is coming from? From Australia. A very ambitious 100 million Metaverse research and development hub is being built in Melbourne. We are really designing a whole world. Two Bulls founder James Kane said about the role the business will play in the yet to launch Metaverse. Alright guys, they say a lot of new areas will need to be explored for the project, not only in terms of hardware and software, but in systems, economics and gamification. So guys, we see that the prices are down, stagflation, inflationary pressure is everywhere, interest rate hikes and all these sluggish and terrible macroeconomic conditions surrounding us, but meanwhile the development in crypto space is marching forward, especially when it comes to this metaverse development. We'll talk more about this in this video. You see that people are building the whole world, as James Kane said. All right, so the development, as Binance CEO also recently posted, that these times whenever the markets are down, the bearish economic conditions are the best time to build, to innovate, all right, to create your products, and that's what people in general are doing. And again, now talking about, if we talk about economics and gamification, once again, guys, I want to bring your attention one of our projects, this KukuLala project, the play to earn game that's currently is under construction and is gonna go live in 6 to 12 months. So take a look at it. I'll post the link down below. We have covered it in separate videos, but just for you to remind you about this play to earn game that our team is building, and another part of it where we are already, it's live, and we are selling the NFTs, the in-game assets, that as a bonus on top of these NFTs, when you purchase, when you mint them, you are getting this 2 to 7% daily bonus rewards. All right, of course these are not guaranteed, but it depends on lots of factors, NFTs sold, market conditions and stuff like that, but you are getting those bonuses on average. Yeah, so take a look at it, don't forget about it, and yes, just definitely keep it in mind if you are interested about our play to earn game KukuLala, and just check it out for yourself. And going back and talking about Metaverse again, we see another major news is coming from Meta, all right, from Facebook. And Meta said to begin testing NFTs on Instagram stories with Spark AR. All right, so earlier this week Meta also announced it would join the other tech companies to create a Metaverse standards body. So Instagram parent company Meta announced on Wednesday that it will begin testing NFTs on Instagram. As Mark Zuckerberg said, we are expanding our test so more creators around the world can display their NFTs on Instagram. And in a direct quote from Zuckerberg, he said, "We'll bring this feature to Facebook soon too, starting with a small group of US creators so people can cross-post on Instagram and Facebook. We'll also test NFTs in Instagram stories with Spark AR soon." So people are building. I like it. I like this news. And this metaverse thing is growing, unlike, even though the market conditions are sluggish, as I said, but see, the development, the research is moving, is marching forward. And if we guys talk about NFTs and we've talked about metaverse, this virtual reality, which to some of you can come like a Matrix, the Matrix movie, the first steps of Matrix, if you can think of it like that way, then definitely keep it in mind the two projects metaverse related that should definitely be on your radar. Of course, this is not a financial advice. I'm not advising you to jump right into these coins and get access. However, what I'm really suggesting you to keep these coins in your radar, all right, because the first one is Decentraland and the second one, the Sandbox, are these two major coins projects, I would say, metaverse related, that if you believe in the prospect of this digital future, if you believe that our world is going into this virtual reality and this will be a multi-trillion dollars industry, as lots of experts nowadays predict it to be in the upcoming future, then definitely keep these two coins in mind. And for Decentraland, we see that if in this 1 year chart, we see that price hit the all-time high, slightly above $5 range, and now is trading at below $1 with a relatively small market cap, a little bit above $1 billion. Keep it in mind. And the next one, for the Sandbox, which is up today, you see 12%, and the Sandbox, it reached actually $7.5. And of course this came with the news that Facebook changed their name to Meta, and then all these brands like jumped into it, created their digital representations of their brands in the Sandbox and Decentraland. But again, the price is now below $1, and this might be a good chance, a good opportunity. Not necessarily now, actually. If it was me, I'm just talking about me, I do mine, you do yours, all right? I'm not buying in yet because I do still expect some lower lows in the crypto markets to take place, but I definitely keep this project in mind. And yes, that's what I wanted to share with you. When the right time comes, definitely don't forget about the Sandbox and the Decentraland. All right, with that said out of the way, let's go to another piece of news. China is back in the news, and what they're saying is that they warn Bitcoin is heading to zero. All right, they say official Chinese national news media outlet warns readers that Bitcoin could go to zero value in order to dissuade them from investing in and using cryptocurrencies. So what they said in the direct quote, in the future, once investors' confidence collapses or when sovereign countries declare Bitcoin illegal, it will return to its original value, which is worthless. Well, quite quite a news, I would say. I mean, this logic, I wouldn't agree with it, me personally, because I mean, the price of Bitcoin, it's volatile and it doesn't depend on, it does, of course, in a sense, to a degree, certain degree, depend on the good that this project, the Bitcoin itself, is bringing, all right, to the society and to people. However, in the short run, its price is controlled and very much impacted, influenced by the general market conditions. Not saying about those speculators, all right, that the financial markets, these Bitcoin shorts, Bitcoin longs, and this stuff that's crashing the that can have power to crash Bitcoin price in the short run. However, if we're talking about Bitcoin price to go to zero, we have another article that can argue with this statement, saying that could Bitcoin ever drop below zero? Like what happened with oil? All right, this is a question, basically the same question as the Chinese article claiming to be true, and the answer to it, I mean, here let's take a look and see what's the arguments against that. All right. So, while the incident has brought an extensional fear of a total collapse, it has also raised questions. I mean, the event, meaning that the one that Bitcoin price went below 20K in several days ago, it also raised questions about whether the price of Bitcoin could ever drop below zero and have a negative value as did oil during the peak pandemic days. Remember when the Bitcoin price crashed? We talked of it in this chart in here. We saw that when was the chart? Well, in 2020, yeah, when the oil prices went negative. So suggesting the Bitcoin price could go to zero is almost unthinkable, said Whitney Setiwon, a research analyst at crypto exchange Bitrue. Its supply is not affected by the bureaucracies of the current global supply chain. Crude oil supply is almost infinite, and this can empower how much one is willing to pay, which can lower its price. And the reason why oil had a negative value at some point is that oil storages around the world were filling up fast, very fast, and people were willing to pay in order to remove oil stock from their storages. On the other hand, it's technically impossible that BTC price will have a negative value, and I do agree with it. It's almost impossible. I would say it is impossible. And even if Bitcoin price goes down to $1 back again, I trust me, there would be lots of people who will get bankrupt, all right, who will commit suicides because of it. But there always will be some others who will join the network, who will the hash rate will go down if the price is $1. The hash rate, the computational power required to mine Bitcoin will be so low that people could back again as 10 years ago with their home computers. With very low RAM and video cards, they can mine Bitcoin again. And I mean, unless you cut the entire internet down all over the world and you confiscate all the machinery and computers from everyone, only then you can say that Bitcoin project, this Bitcoin will be dead. All right, if you are not doing that, and obviously you can't do that, then there's no way you can stop Bitcoin. The price, of course, you can manipulate the price the way the smart money wants to, but to make it zero, to kill the Bitcoin, it's impossible. That's what I think, all right? Of course, nothing is impossible, but I don't see it as the way I don't see me flying if I jump out of the balcony, all right? I am not Peter Pan. All right, guys, and yes, I think for today that's all. Another thing, another short, some ideas I would like to share with you is that some people do wonder why. I mean, why can't this volume go back and Bitcoin price go up again? And the reason is, again, guys, if the Federal Reserve System. That's the key. If you want to see when will the second Bitcoin bull market cycle kick in again, start, you need to focus your attention on Federal Reserve System and its expansionary or contractionary monetary policies. If currently it's hiking the interest rates, sucking out the money from the economy, then there is no way any asset class in particular can really jump and have this bull market alike price increases. All right, it's impossible. If the economy is going down, then no matter what good project your company has or what nice cryptocurrency you have, if the people are struggling to buy and their everyday needs, I mean food and shelter, clothing, housing, then they won't have any amount of funds left to invest. All right, and this is very important in our debt controlled monetary system economy, where everyone owes another one debt. All right, that when money is being printed as a debt in our economy, if the money is being shrinked out from the economy, sucked out from the economy, then there should be money there. Why Bitcoin went up from 10 times, from 2020 reached almost 69k? That's because the smart money, the institutional money, was investing in the project, in Bitcoin and in other cryptocurrencies, altcoins as well. Nowadays, if they are struggling, you see what happened to Celsius, Three Arrows Capital, the Voyager, nowadays a topic of another video, but is struggling also, then these companies are going bankrupt. If these companies cannot meet their debts, all right, then there is no way you can see another Bitcoin cycle. And the another thing that to keep in mind is, of course, the Fed cannot keep on hiking the interest rates, increasing them more and more and more. Eventually, this inflation itself, the interest rate rising of the interest rate itself is putting the economy into stagflationary trap. And if I understand it, I'm sure the Fed and their economies do understand it as well. So this can't be continued perpetually, all right, forever. And sooner or later, it will have no way but to lower down back interest rates again. But for it to happen, two things must happen in order for Fed to lower the interest rates and start the expansionary monetary policy again. And to do it, either the political situation in the world should change, all right, which will open some other markets for the dollar to go in and to export the inflation from the United States and Great Britain to the other parts of the world. All right, so take a look at the political situation in the world, which is very important, all right? And nowadays the contrary is happening. I mean, the Russia, see what they are happening, they're trading their natural resources with rubles, trying to cooperate with China and trade not with dollars but with their own currency. So these are not good news for this topic, all right, for whatever we are talking now. And the second alternative way of going back at lower rates without facing the risk of high inflation is to somehow create have a place where you can seriously take out the money supply, the money supply that was created. And this is now the reason, this circulating huge amounts of circulating money supply that's causing this inflation. You need to get rid of it. And in order to get rid of it, one of the ideas is that, for example, Bitcoin could serve as a good tool to take into it this additional money supply that's causing the inflation. So you can inflate the Bitcoin price. This money can go into altcoins and cryptocurrencies and increase their market cap a lot by lowering the circulating money supply to the extent that it doesn't threaten the inflation and the price level in the country. But in order to it, I mean, this is in very simplified way, I'm explaining it, but just for you to understand the basic concept of it. But to do it, it to happen, for it to happen, you need to have the regulatory framework. All right, the smart money of trillions of dollars can't go into crypto unless it is regulated, and that's why when we are hearing about regulatory news becoming it from Senate, from Britain, from other developed countries, that they are starting to have a regulatory framework about cryptocurrencies, some of you might freak out saying that, oh, they want to control our, the coins, their supply and stuff like that. Yes, I agree with you. The privacy, they don't want the privacy, they want to fight the privacy. However, if you are not looking at it from that perspective, but from a perspective of a speculator or investor that does care about the return on his investment, then I'm telling you the regulations about cryptocurrencies is only positive for price. All right, because once regulated, when there is a certain legal basis of crypto and Bitcoin and Ethereum, all right, mainly, only then the institutional money will feel safe by investing in these asset classes, and only then you might see some good developments, and interest rate decreases, and the economic outlook might look better. All right, so definitely keep that also in mind, and these are the topics that I'm giving to you to think of. All right, think of it, and just know that not every decision, not everything happening, it always has two sides. All right, pros and cons. Not everything is negative or positive. Whenever there is some negative news coming from attacking your privacy, you must take a look at from another perspective and see what's in it for you, for the project, for the investment of your money. All right, guys, so that's all for today. If you like the video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up, get subscribed if you haven't done it yet, and we'll try to keep you up to date, and we'll try to have more and more videos about technical stuff, about news, about everything happening in crypto and related to crypto and blockchain. Thanks, and see you in another video.